it's been crazy to watch some of the things that happen in American cities. So I'll get back to Aurora because I want to talk about that in a second. But some insider information that I received through friends of friends, that some of the high schools in El Paso currently are being dominated by these cartels because these kids are being paid so well to just run drugs. And since they're minors, it's obviously a slap on the wrist for them. And that it's not just one kid. Most of the males in these high schools on the border towns on the west side, east side, doesn't matter, are involved in some capacity and they recruit within each other. Like, oh, yeah, if this kid's wearing Jordans, he's driving a nice car, what's he getting into? And boom, just the fame and notoriety of being part of the narco culture has been what's driving recruitment almost easier. The
Yeah,
TikTok, the the Snapchats, all that showing it, it's what's been driving their recruitment. I don't understand, you know, I just find it like it should be easier to get information on this to kind of slowly start breaking it down. And I don't understand why some of these cities are having so much trouble doing that.
I think that you hit upon a lot of good notes there. That I think that the fact of the notoriety on the internet, the social media, the bluster, but what's, I hate to say it, but brilliant about the cartels and TDA is that they're looking at where their vulnerabilities are. For example, here in Montana, we have Native American reservations. We got the reservations up here up north, the Crows, and you've got Blackfeet down south. They're going out to the reservations, from what I understand, cartel, and they're going out there and they're saying they're finding a Native American woman who has a house, and the cartel is going and just throwing down money and saying, "Marry me." What's that woman going to do? Of course, she's going to say yes because this guy just threw down tens of thousands of dollars and now she has a financial stability. So, of course, she's going to say yes. And then he gets married and now he's in on the reservation. As one of your previous guests had said, a fentanyl pill is $6 to $8 down in Texas. It's $100 up here in Montana. So there's a massive, massive amount of ROI on for the cartels up here, and the glorification of the cartel movement, the glorification of money, cars. This is it's just 15 seconds. Everybody wants the 15 seconds of fame, and just it's the short term. What the kids don't understand these days is the 12 to 14-year-olds is, so these TDA members, they're not like MS-13, which is 17, 18-year-olds recruiting 12 and 13. These are 26, 27, 28-year-olds, veterans of either the Venezuelan military or veterans of, TDA back in South America. What the kids of 12, 13, 14 don't understand is they're being used. But that's the problem, is they don't understand they're being used just kind of like a tissue paper. Hey, if we lose him, okay, it's just a 12-year-old. It's no big deal. And they don't give enough information to these 12 years old and to say, okay, this is my name, ID, location. So these kids are not a threat to the gang, to the criminal organization. They're not a threat to, get brought down. They're trusted enough to do the minor petty thefts, minor petty crimes. If they are eventually able to get to 18, 19 years old, they've been a member of the organization now for 6, 7 years. Then he's moved up in status. But it's unfortunate that these 12, 13, 14-year-olds are just getting recruited, like you said, the glorification. Hey, I'd rather just quick money. Ooh, I got $500 in my pocket, where my dad has to work, 3 days for that kind of cash and he has to pay taxes. Where I got this now, I'm stronger. I got a bigger bad phone, bigger bad car. So it's tough.
Yeah, in the Aurora case, what is it about? Like I kept watching, like, why can't law enforcement go in and just stop it right then? What's stopping these states or these cities and law enforcement to just step in and just break it up?
Well, here's the problem. So there was multiple problems in the Aurora situation. So problem number one was that the building managers got to me too late. When they called me, they were 1 week away from shutting down the building. So they shut the three buildings down. So there are three buildings in Aurora that were suspected that have been taken over by TDA. The building owners had decided they were throwing up their arms because they were getting extorted by TDA. TDA had come to them and said, hey, listen, we're going to collect the rent from now on. You'll get 50% of what we collect. We're going to keep the other 50%. So the building owners were being extorted themselves. So they
Yeah.
were so they were running the buildings and they were controlling it. No one was talking to local law enforcement because from the building, because out of fear that they were going to that's their home, so they would rather pay, just like I've seen countless times in New Jersey, extortion. People just pay, hey, just take my $100. I don't care. I don't want any trouble because that's their home.
Yeah.
So by the time they got to me, it was too late. But the Aurora, Colorado gang world, I've known that for years. I've known it going back to mid 2015, 2014. I knew there was a gang problem from New Jersey. I knew there was a gang problem in Aurora, Colorado. I knew MS-13 would move out there. So it's nothing new. But a lot of mayors, a lot of police force don't want to admit that there's a gang problem because that'll hurt their bottom line or hurt people moving into the community. It'll put a fear. Elizabeth, New Jersey, one of the most difficult places to live. It is extremely criminal, lots of criminal elements there. And in 2011, the mayor of Elizabeth, New Jersey, where there was tons of criminal gang investigations that I would work with Elizabeth PD, the mayor of Elizabeth, New Jersey came out and said, "We have no gangs in Elizabeth," which is the most absurd statement to ever probably make. But he admitted, he said, "No, there's no gangs here in Elizabeth, nothing to see." So I found that the Aurora situation was just a repeat, just rinse repeat of politicians just saying, nothing to see here. No, there's no gang problem. There's just a few. A great example of how the political element can affect the law enforcement element was the press conference, and I'm putting quotes around here, the press situation that the acting chief of police at Aurora PD did. So days after that video was released, in, with the gang members being seen walking the hallways with long guns and knocking on doors,
Yep.
the chief, who was the acting chief at the time, she went to the building and she put out a video statement saying, "We are here. We're listening to the community. There's nothing to see. We don't see any gang elements." Well, here's the problem with that. This was days after that video was released. So was TDA going to do? They're going to vacate. They're going to get out of there. So they probably got out of there. But that's not real problem. The problem was this. What they failed to have told the media was that, first of all, that media crew was actually the police department's press office. So they were recording it themselves. So they were able to edit it and record it. But what they didn't say is that SWAT teams cleared the buildings before she arrived. There were SWAT teams that walked the buildings. So of course there isn't going to be a criminal element. Second, she stood in front of not one of the three buildings that were suspected of being taken over. She was standing in front of a completely opposite building. And third, the video camera was recording police officers knocking on the door saying, "Hey, do you have any problems here?" Of course, those people are going to say, "No, there's no problems here," because they're on camera. No one's going to admit to tell the truth, which I found absolutely absurd. So those three or four things was encapsulated Aurora in a perfect capsule going, okay, listen, these were rats inside of a box. You shine the light on it, they scattered.